Good morning, good afternoon, LinkedIn. Happy Thursday, October 17th. Already been 1 month since inbound. We are back with Lucy Abal talking about HubSpot admins, super admins. How you doing, Lucy?
Hey everyone, hi Chris. Good, everything's good, and with a lot of things to talk about today.
Yeah. So much has happened since we last spoke. Hard not to talk about AI at this point, but I think it's gonna be fun because you just started, another session of Super Admin Bootcamp. So really curious, like just to dive in, like how is this is the first boot camp after, inbound. AI is everywhere. AI tools. How is it being received? Like, how are you guys adjusting the boot camp? Like, let me know.
So I think, for everyone that is hearing, Inbound is the main HubSpot event of the year. So most of the new launches and updates of the tool and on the CRM are usually public there. Um, and I think that in the last couple of months, more than 200 updates in the tool were done. So there's a lot of things to talk about, and especially regarding to super admin's role, right? Because we can always discuss the technical parts of the features and of the new releases, but what role does this play for a super admin, right? The main question that everyone had yesterday is, should I apply this to my company, to my HubSpot portal? What should we do? What should we do? Everyone panics. And okay, so the first thing maybe to tell everyone is not because we have more than 200 releases, you need to apply everything to your company. So we have talked about this in other episodes with you, Chris. Uh, but what I wanted to mention today is a couple of these new features regarding Breeze, regarding AI, and other things that are being updated in the CRM that are very, very important for super admins. Because in the end, when we talk about AI, and I think you started a new wonderful series of episodes with George, with Thomas, and with Nico talking about AI, in the end, who is going to be the responsible of implementing AI in the portal? So even if you're a super admin by choice or by accident, this is going to touch you at some point in your history with HubSpot. So the idea is to start preparing people to get used to of this idea of using AI, or at least to making it part of the day-to-day, right? So maybe the first thing that we can mention, and that is that in general we think it's a marketing responsibility, but I think it's a super admin's responsibility, is the data enrichment part, right? So let's just start with the basic that HubSpot is a database, right? Everything, every hub runs over the CRM, the database, the data model. And one of the main cool updates that we have now is object templates. So we can now customize the objects that we use in the CRM. So for example, for real estate, or for the healthcare industry, or for education, we now have object templates, meaning we get to use different objects, not only contacts, companies, or deals. We have new objects already prepared in HubSpot with their properties and the information that we need. For example, for appointments, for healthcare, or for example, about courses or teachers for education. So this is a major update. This is something that every super admin should know. In the past, or until now, we were only able to modify or create new custom objects with enterprise licenses. But now we have this available for pro users. So,
Well, I'll say, if I could say, the application templates are what's available at Pro,
yeah,
but the 4 new objects are available at all levels.
yes,
So it
yes.
really unlocks. And I'm curious if this is where you're going, but like this ability to kind of create new containers, right, for data to come in that matters for the business, right?
Yes, totally. And I think that in a future, and I don't know if it's going to be in a long, but I think in a short future, I think when you start just to set up your CRM, AI is going to assist you on everything. AI is
Mm-hmm.
going to ask you where are the objects that you need, the information, the data model that you need to set up for this new HubSpot portal. You're going to click, 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 and AI is going to set everything for you. And I want Brian Kelly, I want Yamini to listen to this because I know that this is where you're going.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, for
so
sure.
I think super admins needs to understand. The first thing that we say in the bootcamp is you need to understand the data model and the information that is in the CRM. So then we come to the point that, okay, this is the important information for our business. This is the information that needs to be completed. So how do we complete this? Some information is going to be relevant or responsibility of the marketing team during the marketing campaigns and the lead generation actions. Some information is going to be completed by the sales team, but everything takes time. So what about if we could have something that could help us complete some of this information, or maybe most of this information, so that we can dedicate time to analyze it instead of searching for it? So I think that the data enrichment here that we can do with Breeze AI is crucial because we can really, as super admins, we can really show our teams, the marketing team and the sales team, that you already have information available in the CRM. You just need to now analyze it, take a look at it, and make decisions about this. Better segmentation, better campaign orientation, better emails. Or for example, if you're an SDR or a BDR, you can now decide, of course, with all the information that you have, if you are using, for example, the prospecting agent, that is another new tool available also with AI, or if you're going to do at least the process manually. So coming back to data enrichment, this is very important. This has been a pain for everyone always. So completing the information in your database is going to be much more easier with these new features, and it's crucial because even if we think about AI doing everything for us, you need to have the information first completed to make decisions.
Yeah. And also, like, I think more often than not, and we'll find out, like, as more, I think the accessibility to more data enrichment tools is important, like without having to buy huge contracts with places like Zoom Info and have it be so focused on maybe some educated guesses versus, like real data. Um, Avoiding those moments where it's like the data, just seeing it completed instead of seeing gaps is like one layer of buy-in that, or not buy-in, that we come across. Like, it might not matter that the data is blank, but because it's blank, now I'm thinking about the whole report, and does it lose credibility? But also, like, the easy stuff, the stuff that should be easy, like publicly available company data, having it correct, right? So that it's not like, oh, I know Google isn't headquartered like in this other place that the COA is telling, or that the CRM is telling me, right? And losing it that way. Where I'm very interested in your take on, like, helping people understand the boundary between that data, which is more like, if it's known data to the world, then we should know it in our CRM, versus data that's important for our business, right? Like, and the challenge of an industry field, as an example, and how it's listed on LinkedIn or wherever we're enriching data from, versus how our business, calls it. Because a lot of the times, like, our reports and our dashboards and our, the story of how we grow are focused on data segmentation that relates to what our business cares about, not necessarily stuff that can even be enriched, right?
Yeah, and I think it's good that you mentioned that because you don't know what you don't know, right? So if I want to know a contact, for example, let's imagine that you're dating someone and you want to start knowing that person. You need to start asking like the main basic things, right? I don't know, what is your name? What do you like to do? What do you do for a living? What do you work? What are your main hobbies? So if you don't start asking the right information, you're never going to arrive into the place that you want to be at, right? So what a super admin needs to know is we're talking about data enrichment and HubSpot Breeze AI data enrichment, right? So there's still, or let's just say it's not a limitation, but HubSpot has structured this so that specific fields of a contact can be enriched and specific fields of a company can be enriched. Of course, if you want to know anything else outside that, we're still going to need other tools like Apollo, Clay, ZoomInfo, and all the other enrichment tools because we're wanting to know more specific information, right? But coming back to the basic information, for example, if I want to know more or if I want Breeze AI to help me complete more information about a company, what should I know or what should I put in the CRM so that Breeze AI can do it for me? Can I just put the name in it and magic? No, because a lot of companies can have the same name or similar names around the world. So just putting the name, it doesn't help anything. So the same way as we are used to thinking about that email is very important for a contact in the CRM to be a unique record, the URL and the domain of a company is important to not be duplicated in the CRM. And that is the information that is going to be used to enrich the information of the company, right? And we can think about the same thing for a contact, right? If we have, for example, a LinkedIn profile, we can ask AI to go search for more information in their profile, what they do, where they live, what languages that they talk, the preferred language that they use. So we can search for more information. And if you think about this, you usually do this manually. Most of SDRs and BDRs do this manually. They enter the website, they look at things, they get a phone, they get information, and they put it manually in the CRM. It's just that instead of having an SDR, a BDR, or someone in the marketing team doing this manually, Breeze AI can do it for you. But you're still going to need some basic information to guide them where they can go look, right? Of course, there are in the back other tools that are still going to be searching for information, but it's not just like we drop a name inside there and magic is going to be done. No, that's not how it's going to work. So if we reverse that process and we say, okay, I need to have the domain for a company and I need to have maybe email or maybe a LinkedIn profile for a contact. Okay, how can I get to arrive at that information from my marketing efforts or from my website or from my different strategies I have in my company to get to that information? So whenever we import data, that information should be complete. Whenever we manually enter contacts of companies, that information should be complete. So it doesn't matter how you create contacts and information in the CRM, that basic information should always be completed. So let's just not think that AI is going to do everything that we don't want to do or that is going to solve for the gap of we're not doing ourselves. It's just going to help us doing it faster and at scale. But we still need some basic ground area, right? So we still need basic information to be completed so that it triggers the AI to do their job.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to put it. Like most of this stuff, especially from an admin perspective, is kind of building this foundation of trusted data. Like even if it's just like one layer, right, that we can then build on instead of always having to go down into the layers and say like, okay, we still have a problem here. And like the more that we build that foundation, like you say, and like what was coming to mind is then AI and the team can both be analyzing this data set without questioning it and saying, okay, what insights do we have? All right, well, 95% of the time that this industry is listed, right, that means these properties are these other things, right? And this is not going to be coming from the enrichment place, but it's going to be allowing AI to start to, if not fill in, at least suggest, like when we talk about all these data quality tools, like, hey, these are these gaps. This is probably what's supposed to go in them. And just that level of support, man, that's going to be really, really powerful.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about something so basic, right? As why it's called this way. And it's called enrichment because it's going to enrich the data that you already have. It's not going to be a private investigator searching for the information that you don't have. That is, I think that's another thing. That is what traditional tools call prospecting, right? Just like finding out information. But HubSpot choose to call it enrichment because it's going to actually enrich and add layers of information to the information that you have. So let's just not mistake what it is and what it's meant to be doing with what we expect and what we want it to do. So I think that you mentioned something that is really interesting, that is the example of industry, right? So we do have an example of a client that they handle industry, well, a lot of clients, not just one, but this is the one that came to mind. They handle industries a different way than the traditional way or maybe the standard way that HubSpot puts it, right? So, okay, we can use the enrichment tool, the industry is going to be completed or even from the domain, but this is not the way that we see industries. So then what we do, of course, with another tool, in this case we use Clay and we use AI in that case, is to create a formula and to create a command so that taking in consideration the industry that HubSpot has set, just sort it out so that it matches the way that we classify industries. And the same thing could go with job title, with role. Imagine all the fields that you don't handle the standard way of how the market sees it, and you can do it and repurpose it and reorganize it your way. So these are the things that AI can do. Of course, for this moment, not inside HubSpot, I'm talking about other tools. But the super admin, you don't need to know how to do everything. You just need to know that you have tools at your hand, that you can search for these things, that this is possible, that we can do these things. Of course, hopefully, we would love to have to do or to be able to do everything inside HubSpot. But we do have also other tools that can help us do this.
Yeah. Again, I think it's an awareness. Like all you can control as an admin is being aware of both what's available and also what is needed, for your business. Because I have yet to find an industry field, an industry drop down in a HubSpot portal that doesn't cause some kind of headache for the team. Either they're adding their own versions of the same industries in the same drop down, which then you just have a sales guy like picking whichever one makes sense that day, or you're just using this field instead, but still showing them on the same record so that you see competing information all the time, and one's coming from LinkedIn and the other one's coming from Zoom Info, and the other one is like the way that we really do it. And it's just like, of course we're not going to end up with clean data. And I've been trying to give people a heads up, like, if you don't solve for that, AI is going to have such a harder time to work for you when you have those three competing fields with all the same words applying differently to different. It's not going to be able to do the work for you, right? So we got to clean it up.
And we need to be, I think that you did hit the key here, because we need to be clear on what we are telling AI what to do. or the direction. As you put a direction on your GPS and it's going to take you there, we can't blame then if you put the wrong direction that you arrive anywhere else. So this is your fault because you set the direction. So this is the same thing, right? So let's just not be super harsh on HubSpot right now on what we can and we cannot do, because these are the first steps and we are really more advanced than any other CRM maybe at the moment. So it's not just the first step. So let's just hope that in a couple of months and in the next years, this is always going up. The only way is up right now, like the
Yeah.
song. So we are going to be able to do much more things. I think that super admin needs to start getting used to this and of this new way of working. So maybe we're not going to be so hands-on because tools are going to do a lot of the work for us. But we need to know how things work. Another cool feature that we have relating on data is the data quality. And when you have, especially if you have enterprise, you get this cool board, for example, like duplicates, when you have, and that they can identify when you have changed first name and last name. When you have it inverted, and it can correct it automatically. It shows you, and if you agree, you click, and that's it. So a lot of the things are happening in the database. Maybe we're not looking because who is looking at everyone's first name and last name? Nobody. But when you want to use, we all then say, oh, let's just automate emails and use personalization tokens. Everything is going to be horrible if you do this.
Yeah.
So at least you now have AI looking for, hey, I think John is the first name, it's not the last name. So Carolan could be first name and inverted. So, okay, I can say, yeah, sure, this is mixed up. Let's just correct this.
Yeah.
And instead of doing this manually, you get to see it in the screen and you get to click and say, okay, yeah, correct this. And that's it. It just took you 10 clicks, 2
Yeah.
clicks.
Yeah. So much of what's happening is just bringing visibility to these issues in a way that we haven't had before. So you usually find them when you go to send the email, like you're on the CRM record and like you're not even paying attention, but as soon as you grab the template and it's like, hi, clearly not first name, like, okay, let me go fix that. Right. And now it makes it possible to, it empowers all these data maintenance activities that we've been talking about for a long time. Everybody knows you need to get to it, but you got to do the work of creating the views and creating the lists and making it even possible to see it in a way that's just not clicking through every record and checking. Otherwise, the only process I've seen work is that you're looking at every contact that gets added to the system soon after they are added, which again does not scale very well, and that's where these data quality dashboards are just like, and again, like all of these are steps in the right direction. This is the worst it's ever going to be, right? It's always going to get better because it's very easy to look at these, and the more international you are, right, it's going to flag, like if 80% of your database is the US and 20% is not, it's going to flag some first name, last name situations that are, are, are right, but it's very easy to see that, okay, in the US it would be changed, right? But in this other country it makes sense. So taking that, understanding what it's doing for you, and not, it's not a promise, right? It's just helping you understand, like, hey, maybe this is an issue, maybe it's not. As an AI, let me know and I will do it better next time, right?
Yeah, of course. And I think that we're thinking about that this is only going to get better because this is going to learn also, and we can tell them when it did wrong. But I think that the first thing that we need to have in consideration, and I think that we were discussing this a couple of minutes before starting today, is like, who is your client? Because we're always thinking about, okay, how can we do it better externally? But a client super admin is not the final customer that is buying for the company. For super admins, our clients are internal teams. Our clients are marketing, our clients are sales, our clients are the board of directors. So we need to solve in the CRM for the internal teams, for the company. Of course, everything should be aligned for them so that they can get more businesses, right? But the first thing that we need to do is, okay, how can we use this to help our teams work smarter and not harder, right? So another two things that we can mention related to this is buyer intent is something that you get to set up with AI. And what you do here is you set a couple of properties that are important for you. So we talk about industry. So I can say, okay, for me, SaaS industry is relevant because most of my clients and my prospects should be in the SaaS industry. Okay, so I can say to AI, SaaS industry is important for me. And I said, okay, I want to talk to sales managers or IT managers. Okay, so you define a couple of properties that now AI knows, and whenever you have someone in your database with that information, is going to tell you, hey, here's a potential prospect, what should we do? Here is buyer intent of this person that has visited your pricing page. You need to take action here. So these are the things that are going to be super helpful internally, first for our teams to do our jobs better, right? And another cool feature related to this is also now the new AI lead scoring. So in the past, a lot of people has struggled a lot. Still, a lot of people still don't have lead scoring, but for the portion of the market and HubSpot users that have, this used to be super complicated. I've just seen in a new customer 98 workflows to update a custom property that was called lead scoring just for one team and one market. 98 workflows. And I said, oh my God, what is this?
Did you say
I almost died.
98?
98, almost 100 workflows to update lead scoring. And I hope you're not hearing this, but that is awful. So that, but regarding that, they did this 2 years ago. They did the best that they could with the tools that they had at that time. HubSpot just has changed a lot. So right now, as they're an enterprise account, last week I introduced, okay, so now we have lead scoring with AI. So what the AI does is, okay, so what are the lead stages, the lifecycle stages that we want to track? Okay, I want to track someone that changes from lead to marketing qualified lead. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, so you set a couple of things that you tell AI, because this is like a conversation as usual with AI. And now AI generates the engagement model, seeing all the information that you have in the CRM and saying, okay, so right now, this is done for you. If a prospect or a lead completes a form, 5 points. If they open your marketing emails, 5 points. So in the past, super admins and marketers used to set each of these lines of lead scoring inside the traditional lead scoring. Let's forget about the 98 workflows. So we used to set each of these lines individually. So now lead scoring can do it for you in 2 minutes. And then you can continue editing, of course, if you want something specific to be tracked, if you want an event to be marked with a specific amount of points, we can always improve what AI did first. And I think this is wonderful. And I think this is going to be a game changer for everyone. And again, AI can learn, this can improve, but you break the blank page about not knowing how to do things, because a lot of super admins have never done a lead scoring system, and now you can start doing it. And you
Yeah.
can learn with the tool too, because super admins can learn. I think one of the main pillars of a super admin's mentality is always be learning. So
Yeah.
you can learn with AI. You can discover things that maybe you didn't have in mind and that you didn't know that were happening in the CRM. So I think, well, we can continue mentioning a lot of new AI features, but I think these are the most relevant to start with, or to start knowing that they exist for any super admin. This is going to make everyone's work much easier and smarter, right? Because as we were mentioning, we all want to work smarter, not harder, and dedicate time at least to think and to decide what we can do with that information.
Right. Now, I think there's going to be stuff like that where there's things like lead scoring that have just been like a deep challenge for everybody in terms of knowing how it works and then working together, with sales to actually build scores that make sense. And meanwhile, everybody knows HubSpot can do it. So we definitely need that. Like, that's one of the reasons we're buying HubSpot. So we got to set that up, even though we have no data to support the scoring. And using AI, like, if you just get the process right, like, this is where you start to engage sales and in a way that's like, hey, it's not us setting the lead score. Like, imagine a world where we have all our data correct and it can use the buyer intent data to say, hey, every time these demographics match up, we close 80%, like, based on the data that the sales team is keeping up to date. Right. And I think that's going to do a lot to kind of just like skip over this need to actually try and come up with scores or like setups that we're maybe not qualified to do, not because we don't know how to do it, but because our business doesn't have the necessary data at the moment to apply 10 points to a video or 10 points to an article. Right. So very excited to see that. I do want to, before we go, like, Copilot, how do you feel people are adjusting to that? What is the message in the boot camp? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity, and this is where Nico really opened my eyes. Like, it's harder to get to the support chat now. Like, it's a couple clicks away. And I'm guessing it's by design a little bit that Copilot is 1 click away. Support chat is like 3 clicks away. And should we just be teaching our users to just open up Copilot whenever they can? Like, how are you thinking about that?
Well, I normally don't think about Copilot for as HubSpot support internally. We used to think it as how it can help marketing, how it can help sales. But I really think that if you're thinking about doing or having some kind of internal documentation and processes that we need to have internally so that our own teams can search in there, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think this is a new approach. I'm going to discuss it with our super admins just to see how they feel about this. But I think that everything that helps get information faster and at the right time is going to be helpful. I think Copilot's still not something that people are very used to. I don't know if they understand it, or I don't know if they think about use cases to implement it.
Right.
So I think that we can start discussing different use cases for Copilot, because it's going to be really eye-opener for a lot of people. So to know this is free, you can use it, you have it there, so take advantage of it.
Right.
So let's just not say because I don't know how to use it, I cannot take advantage of it, because you can all learn and you can all use it the way that you want to use it or that you need, right?
Yeah. No, and that's where I see there's like, this is one of those things where all super admins and even like agencies have built services for this, where it's like, it would be nice. Like, so much time is spent on users asking simple things that maybe support could have helped with, but a lot of times it's like, oh, how do I do this? like for my job, like how do I create this view, or, and starting to build those habits where maybe they can go to Copilot now, especially as it pulls up, like whatever page you're on, it will give you specific prompts, examples to that page. And even I like would love to start using it more than I am. Just because it's been, from what I've seen, and I'm talking to Nico a lot about, like, we just need to start showing use cases that might be only 5 minutes, but it's like as simple as, like, the first thing I discovered, my wife helps me with some inside sales activity, and order management activity for a client. And, English is her second language. So I was having to review all the emails, right? And now I don't have to. Like, she just puts them into the Copilot, and they're better than the ones I write. So it's like, yeah, please start using that. And that was just the first thing. And that's such a small thing, right? Just this emails, just cleaning up their grammar a little bit without having to go to somebody else to check it, right? That's just like the tip of the iceberg about what we're doing in HubSpot. When I see videos, people making workflows and stuff like that, it's one of those things that just the first hurdle is just opening it, just going to click on it. Like when you have a question, instead of all the other mechanisms, right, that we used to rely on.
Yeah, I think that Copilot has had a really strong refreshing since it was ChatSpot.
Yes.
And it really serves a lot of purposes. For example, the other day we were just using it and training a client, and they were looking for hashtags for the social posts. And Copilot asks you, what do you want this post to be about? What do you want to highlight here? So we're aiming for marketing managers, this type of companies. We want to highlight this and this and this, and this training and this event, and it dropped 5 hashtags. And then you can say, no, make more detail about this. That conversation that probably you didn't have with anyone, or if you're more advanced, you used to have with OpenAI or any other AI tool, now you can do it internally.
Yeah.
And what I really love, and we can discuss this in the future in another session, is the power that it has to go search for information, especially when you're thinking about sales, and that it goes and analyze the web and look for news and look for example, new job openings and new job roles that they have posted on LinkedIn. And you are getting such a context, such a lot of information that it would took you so much time to search for manually, and you have it by clicking one button.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Like, it's very much not ChatSpot. So if it looks similar, right? So we don't fault you for maybe thinking that, but that's one of the big reasons behind, like, this branding update, Breeze AI, right? They've done a lot of work to really bring a lot of tools together and also make them work better wherever you are in the portal. And it's really cool to see that it understands where you are in the portal and what you're clicking on and what's highlighted on the screen. And so definitely check that out. And I'd say Super Admins, this is one of those things where just find a way to make it okay for your team to experiment with that, because they're actually not changing data in the system. Like, there is an experimentation value in just saying, like, hey, what would be nice for your team? Like, instead of, and it's always careful in how you deliver this, right? It's not about, I don't want to help you. It's about, hey, I think this will empower you to not even need the help in the first place, right? Like, this will help you, with a lot of the challenges that we often talk about or get brought up at meetings or things like that. Empowering the team to start to test, because there's that tool like Copilot. It's really hard to understand the value for almost anybody unless you use it first, like yourself. It's like one of the only ways for you to understand the value and start to build the habit, right?
Yeah, and one thing that I would really suggest is you probably think about implementing AI and disrupting how the company does everything. But if you think about the whole customer journey and all our internal processes, and we part it into small pieces, and maybe we just think about, okay, so let's just take this small piece about, I don't know, doing an email template and start doing this with AI. We just do baby steps that we can test, and we can say, okay, so we have implemented this, we are using chatbot or any other tool, or we're using like Copilot to help us do this. Okay, so now we haven't reached, let's just say, this part of the process, we have updated this part of the process, now we can go and test another little part. So hopefully in the future we would have a more automated or a more intelligent process in the company. But let's just be real, we cannot change everything from night to day and hope that everything is done with AI. Let's just start with little pieces. As you were mentioning, let's just say, okay, how can we use Copilot for marketing, or how can we use Copilot during the sales process at this point or at this stage, or to do this. Just baby steps, start testing and start doing. And once you have mastered that, and once you have tested and learned what it can do and what it cannot do for the moment, then we can move into another thing.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best recommendation. Don't be afraid. You're not going to break anything. Copilot is just there to help and to assist.
Right.
So don't be afraid. Just start using it.
Yeah. Well, just get started. I think that's a great way to end this one as it relates to AI and super admins and how you're thinking about it. Know that you have to deal with it first, right? Like, it's not going away, right? It's going to be there. You should embrace it. Look for ways for it to help you and your team find those opportunities, and let's grow. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Awesome.